What does roller skating, a society run by corporations, and gladiatorial blood sports have in common?
Are you not entertained?
Well, nothing. Until Rollerdrome. This small title from Roll7 of other skate game Ollie Ollie fame takes inspiration from the 1975 film Rollerball to create a similar world, similar vibe, but double down on the violent roller skating action. And Rollerball isn't exactly considered a classic, and themes and settings have been visited and explored before, both in film and in games.
I'd buy that for $1.
So let's find out if Rollerdrome's unique gameplay genre mashup and peripheral storytelling can add new ideas to the near future dystopic blood games genre. The gameplay of Rollerdrome is a simple mashup. Take what you love about Tony Hawk.
Yo, do a kickflip!
Fast-paced arcade rushes with grinds, grabs, and getting shot at? Actually, that's the second part of the mashup, a third-person shooter. And it wouldn't be a modern game without a dodge roll, of course. And Max Payne, Breath of the Wild, that's style, slow motion to help you feel like the badass that you are. And if it sounds like a lot, well, it is. You are constantly managing harvesting ammunition through tricks, dodging the latest threat, lining up your next shot. It's a novel juggling act that few other games demand. And you're gonna be pretty bad at first, but you will be good at the end. And you will look and feel pretty damn cool by the end as well. To make all this manageable, a lot has been done to make things a bit forgivable. For example, you don't really wipe out, unlike in the Tony Hawk games.
I'll do a kickflip.
If you blow a trick, you get credit anyways, and you simply roll to prevent falling. And while the timer is eliminated, the spirit is kept alive by way of completion bonuses and a breakneck level pace. On the shooting side, ammunition is shared across all weapons, so you don't have to be paying attention to each specific weapon. There's ample and frequent time to be in slow motion. It almost feels like you could clear the entire game in slow motion, and auto-aim is extremely generous. Your dodging also refreshes quite quickly. All that said, your controller is gonna be busy. All buttons on deck at all times. You will achieve a zen-like state while playing this game, because between the large amounts to keep track of and execute, the game is actually pretty tough. There's a solid enemy variety, with each being relevant and different while being gradually introduced. It kind of reminds me of modern Doom. There's some cannon fodder, which you can keep off to the side if you need some health in a pinch or to stack a combo. There's teleporting enemies, bullet sponges. There are even some really neat boss encounters, which I don't think Tony could be able to pull off.
Do a kickflip! Yo, do a kickflip!
You really need to be paying attention at all times, have something ready to kill, be aware of the next thing to dodge, and know what gun works best in what situation. If all of this is coming off as intimidating, don't worry. The game does a really solid job easing you in and teaching you the ropes. You'll also almost definitely need to do some challenge grinding at a few points in the campaign. And while I wasn't a huge fan of these grinding out challenges to get to the next point, revisiting older levels made me realize just how much better I'd gotten, and that really did feel quite good. And if all this sounds really cool, that's because it absolutely is. But there are a few things about the core gameplay loop which I would personally experiment with or change. There's basically no penalty to dodging. At worst, you'll miss a chance for a super reflex, which is basically extra slow-mo on top of your already super generous slow-mo. Could be interesting exploring maybe making rolls stale.
However, if you dodge too much, even on the ground, you'll be wide open to attack and your duration of intangibility gets shorter.
Or some kind of penalty for just spamming them. There's also no real penalty for spamming the same trick for ammo. I guess the penalty is that you'll feel super lame doing the same grab and grind over and over. Another page out of Super Smash Bros. Book, maybe consider staling tricks, so using the same one over and over nets less ammo. And I mentioned that there's no real penalty for dropping tricks. Well, how about 1 to 5 damage if you take a big fall? Nothing too crazy, but there is a bit of a risk to well, should I chain that extra grab flip? And lastly, the slow motion effect is a bit too generous in my opinion. It just replenishes with no effort player side. And I know there's a lot going on, and I guess you could keep the meter as auto, but still maybe just have it go a touch slower. But even with all these critiques, the game is an absolute blast to play. I don't even consider these blemishes, more stuff I would personally like to experiment and see how far you could really push the player. A rewarding game that teaches you and gives you an in-the-zone focused state. What more could you ask for in a video game?
Hassan, match victory.
Okay, so if you know this channel, you know I only make this section for one of two reasons. There's something horribly wrong with an aspect of the presentation which actively hinders the experience, usually performance related, or there is something truly exceptional and noteworthy about this game's performance. I'm happy to say that Rollerdrome is definitely in the latter. And I feel like we really can't even start this section without acknowledging what you've been looking at the last few minutes. This game looks really cool and unique. Not only does it directly reference Rollerball in color and direction, but it also pays homage to the skate game ancestor Jet Set Radio in its fantastic use of cell shading. Rollerdrome is stylish, sleek, and pops in all the right ways. The abundance of red certainly helps with, well, the blood, and the intense contrast further elevates all this, well, blood. I'll go as far to say this is my favorite game visually that I have reviewed this year so far. And it certainly doesn't hurt that this game was rock solid throughout my playtime. No performance issues, no bugs, no problem. And while it's not the Tony Hawk A-list gritty, grungy alt pushing you through all these levels, you 100% want to keep the music on for this game. No Spotify over this one. I wasn't really sure where to fit this part into the review, so presentation is gonna have to do. There really is some interesting storytelling techniques deployed in this game. The story is basically happening in your periphery. You, Kara Hassan, whose life is constantly on the line and has more immediate fish to fry than the ongoing conflict surrounding her. When you get downtime to explore, you get to read bits and bobs and hear mostly a biased perspective. But as I said, you are about to have several dozen people try to kill you, so there's not a lot of direct introspection on the part of Kara, nor is there anything that she can really do. And I think that's really cool, and honestly what most people would do in the same situation. But speaking of the story, let's talk about the 1975 movie Rollerball. It's no secret that Rollerdrome was inspired by Rollerball, even down to the font in some respects. So with the game wearing such inspiration on its sleeve, I thought a viewing of Rollerball was essential to the experience. And it turns out the story of DLC to Rollerdrome is pretty good. I'd highly recommend giving the movie a watch. Practical effects during the Rollerball sports are fairly lengthy and impressive. I mean, yeah, at times it kind of feels like a budget Mad Max watching people roller skate around on mopeds rather than fast-paced car wrecks. But the game of Rollerball is very neat, and the movie is executed fairly well.
But this isn't a review
of Rollerball. I mostly wanted to highlight some shared themes across the two pieces, and I'm going to be referring to the game to reference both games in their respective universes. But in both film and game, it's made clear how the game is important in placating the masses.
You know, how a game serves us as a definite social purpose.
This isn't really new and has historical and contemporary equivalents today. Gladiator shows were actually free public entertainment.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And the idea of sleight of hand, that is, providing you with free entertainment at what is probably not an equivalent expense, is something that we experience daily, even on this very platform. While the game explores this less, the movie falsely equates comfort to freedom.
People had a choice a long time ago between having all them nice things or freedom. Of course, they chose comfort.
But comfort is freedom. It always has been. The whole history of civilization is a struggle against poverty and need.
No, that's not it.
and these luxuries provided at an immense cost to the individual is something we should be grateful for. The game hints at revolutionary action against the corporate endgame capitalism, but in the movie's universe, the corporations have already taken complete and total control, with no governments existing and history actively being rewritten.
Corporate society was an inevitable destiny, a material dream world. Everything man touched became attainable.
Both the game and the movie provide lingering hope, showing Kara from the game and Jonathan from the movie as almost Christ-like figures who inspire the masses, that overcoming impossible odds is, in fact, possible. And of course, those who run the show know what's happening and have plans to stop it.
No player is greater than the game itself. It's a significant game in a number of ways. The velocities of the ball, the awful physics of the track. In the middle of it all, men playing by an odd set of rules. It's not a game man is supposed to grow strong in, Jonathan.
Rollerdrome and Rollerball really complement each other, with Rollerdrome being the interactive companion piece nearly 50 years later. Rollerball lets you simmer and soak in late-stage capitalism, endgame collapsing situations. You see the crowds, you see the executives, and you see the decay. Rollerdrome gives you the interactive component of playing the equivalent of Rollerball. It's rare when tightly knit but unrelated pieces of media work so well off each other, and I'd recommend experiencing both if you ever plan on experiencing one. Okay, I get it. Video games are hard to make. This is an indie game made by a small team, and I'm going to be playing some armchair development over here. I'm not trying to discredit the hard work Roll7 put in. In fact, I really want a sequel to this game, so think of it less as what's missing and more of it as a wish list for the future. Customize Kara Hassan, please. I have no idea how this is missing. To be entirely fair, once you complete the campaign, Kara's outfit does change, so there are costumes, but I want more. I want unlockable skates. I want partnerships with skate companies. If you're a skate company and you don't want in on Kara, then you don't know what cool is. And come on, 420 weed jumpsuits while I'm blasting fools doing my backflip kick? Yeah, count me in. It could make grinding out challenges more rewarding for sure if you know that you have a little trinket at the end. I talked about how Rollerdrome can put you in the zone, and this is a great thing. What's not so great is when you complete that level in 2 minutes and 35 seconds and your state comes crashing down. An endless level or wave mode could be awesome, just chilling, bashing heads, and racking combos. There can be bonus challenges during waves or something, but it just seems like a simple ad that would be meaningful to those who want to play endless, bloody, dystopian roller skate Tetris for 30 uninterrupted minutes. And lastly, while there is a solid lineup of levels, there are only a handful of locales. Even one more type of area would go a long way. So like I said, for Rollerdrome 1, no big deal, but I have high hopes for Rollerdrome 2. Rollerdrome is a novel, entertaining gem, combining the style of arcade skate games with a layer of breakneck action mixed for some fun blood, sweat, and tears. Though well explored, the game, based in a world with a rapidly deteriorating society, is told in a unique way, letting the gameplay be at the forefront, but with just enough of a setting to provide meaning to Kara Hassan. There are a few nitpicks I have on the gameplay front, and some features I do hope to see in the future. But the time I spent with Rollerdrome was enjoyable, encouraged me to explore new media, and most importantly, is highly replayable.